Hello, world. Welcome to Don't Be Cinderella. My name is Rowena Kuo, and I am here with the lovely Susan Ross. Hello, Susan.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, here it's Don't Be Cinderella. We are about financial literacy. And Cinderella, of course, she had a father who loved her very, very, very much. However, when he passed away without a plan for her, and then she was caught with nothing. So here we talk about what happens when everything goes great and then all of a sudden it doesn't, and how do we get out of that? So would you like to say something about yourself, introduce us to you, Susan, and tell us about yourself?
Sure. I am from Indiana and
Okay.
I'm a speech therapist by background. I've been a speech therapist for 45 years, everything from little tiny babies all the way to the elderly. So I think my youngest was 2 weeks old, my oldest was 107. So I've done everything from direct care to doing regional management across several different states, and am hoping someday to retire from all of that. I feel like I almost need to go another 5 years so I can say I did it for 50.
You've come a long way.
I have.
So what was your life like growing up?
Growing up, my parents did not have a lot of money. Very good parents. My mother was one with the education, but I was born in the mid 50s. And at that point in time, my parents were older when they got married. And it was very important to my dad that my mom be a stay-at-home mom. And she had her master's degree. He did not have any college education. And so what he ended up doing, he worked for a very long time for a company, 33 years, but they kind of scraped by with what money he could get, what overtime he could do. So even though he was present in the family, he was gone a lot trying to get overtime. And my mom was doing a lot of, stay-at-home mom kinds of things. So my background was rich in love, but short on money. So then as I continued on, I was lucky enough that I could go to the university that was there in town, kind of worked my way through that and came out, and I think probably influenced a little bit by the fact that we didn't have a lot, made up my mind that when I finally got money, there would be a lot of things that I would have for myself and I wouldn't be without anymore. And that can sometimes lead to financial disaster.
Tell us about that. What happened?
Um, I think, and I don't even necessarily want to say financial disaster maybe, but I think growing up here and listening to parents again that, went through the depression, their way of saving money, how they saved, was certainly different than, you've heard the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, just that background of not necessarily knowing where to save money, and pretty much up until just lately, always being an employee. So told that the best thing you could do when you start with a company is to get a 401k, put your money in the 401k. Everything will always be great. You'll have money saved for retirement. And I, do have money saved for retirement, but retirement is getting very, very close. And with the inflation, the way that it is, the stock market going up and then suddenly bottoming out, certainly puts you in a precarious position, as well as the fact that I got a divorce a few years ago. I'm older mother, so I'm 67 with a 21-year-old that we adopted late in life, and kind of a surprise. So that puts another spin on it, because at the time that you think you're retiring, you're still trying to launch young person out into the world.
That's a challenge.
It is a
So,
big challenge.
so when you were, how did you get through school? Did you put yourself through school or?
I put myself through school. My parents made the agreement with me that I could live at home for free, so free room and board, but I would either need to get scholarships or I would need to be able to work and put myself through. And I was lucky at that point in time, there were not the high costs. So I think when I graduated, the credit was $27. That tells you how old and
Mhm.
how long ago it's been. and was blessed to get grants and scholarships. So really came out not owing anything, unlike kids today. But definitely had to work to put myself through, and definitely was limited about the educational opportunities. Was able to go straight through. At the time that I graduated with my bachelor's degree, they were getting ready to make the master's degree mandatory. So I just kind of kept on going and went straight through.
And you were able to graduate and you got a job right away.
Yeah, at that point in time. And again, I think I've been lucky in that speech therapy has always been in high demand. So anytime that I found myself in a situation where maybe a company was going to fold or I wasn't happy with my job situation, there's always been other opportunities out there. But what I've also found over the last several years, when I've gone to speech and hearing conventions on a national level, a lot of employers are doing everything they possibly can to make you not a full-time employee. So if you're in a school corporation and you're going between two different buildings, they may assign you to one building for 20 hours a week, assign you to another building for 20 hours a week, same school corporation, but make it look like you're a part-time employee for both to avoid being able to pay benefits.
Wow.
So, and
So,
that,
so
again,
it was like you were having two part-time jobs.
it's like you have two part-time jobs, and having been in management, have been on the flip side of the table of being encouraged by human resources or by a larger company to do everything in my power to be sure that people could not access the benefits that they were promised. So
And how many years did you do that for?
I was in the school systems for about 8 years, and then transitioned, did sales very, very briefly, and then went back into long-term care. And in long-term care, then was when I was doing more multi-state management and all of that, but certainly ran into some employees. I feel like I was a good manager, and I feel like I was a good manager at a good time, when people were really being well educated about their positions. And usually, always tried to talk to my employees about, even if you are my employee and I'm going to take good care of you, you always have to have that plan B, because you never know when a company is going to have financial problems, when another company is going to buy them out. So there's just so many factors that people don't really think about, especially if they're used to having a job.
So you had a lot on your plate. You had a lot of people that you had to take care of.
Right. So yeah, I had about 209 employees across 7 different states at one point in time.
That's a big responsibility, and that must have
Yeah.
weighed heavily on you.
A lot of work, a lot of work.
And how did you transition out of that into your next job?
I had always had some, it's like, I think I was always afraid that I wouldn't have money or that something would go wrong. So I've always had other things in the background. One of those was rental properties. I've also done like my own businesses and things that way. So I've always had like that backup plan in case something goes wrong. But a lot of times, again, in order to have those backup plans, you have to end up working more hours. It's like I'm going to work my full-time job, and then I've got extra hours devoted to my own business or to, part-time job or something that way. So definitely stressful.
So what other kinds of businesses do you do other than the
I
occupation, speech therapy?
Speech therapy. I have some rental property that I own. Never been big into buying and flipping, but bought a lot back in the 80s. FHA, VA loans, assumptions, and then have done a lot of consulting work. Work closely with Medicare. And with Medicare, most people, again, don't always know that Medicare is not a guarantee of getting things paid. And so I will work with companies to do what they call appeals. So when a bill is not paid, typically by a managed care company, I'll step in to argue on behalf of the patient and the company that delivered the services to be sure that those services continue. So do that, and then also do just some private speech therapy consulting work as well, and then also do some guest speaking.
So what do you know about Medicare? What is that? What what do people get with that?
Well, depends on what kind of Medicare you have. I will do full disclosure, I'm 67, so I got my official "you are old" card a couple of years ago. Because I've always worked in nursing homes, I kind of tried to work with people to steer them towards traditional Medicare. And I think lately, the government was very, very interested in getting out of the Medicare business. So they have pushed a great deal for people to take managed care. And there are a lot of companies that provide what they call managed care for the elderly, and it can look like a good deal, and for some people it actually is a good deal. But it's one of those, like so many other things that are financial, kind of depends on your personal situation and your personal situation at the moment. So a lot of times people's like, this is what it is right now, and it's like, that's great, but what if it's not that a year from now? So with Medicare, I typically will tell people traditional is best, because again, managed is just exactly what it implies. Your medical care is being managed by someone who may or may not have any medical background. And that may mean that you're in a hospital being told that you need to leave immediately because your days are up, or they don't feel you need the care, or in a nursing home being told to go home and let your family take care of you. And most families these days aren't really able to do that. So, again, kind of advocate for being sure you know what you signed up for, and being sure that that good deal really is the good deal that you think it is.
So now we have choices. We can retire at 62, we can retire at 65, we can retire at 67, and then I
70.
hear that the retirement age is going to be 70, or there's a plan for it to become 70. What do all those ages mean? What do you get at each age?
What, for myself personally, if 62 is the earliest that you can take Social Security. 65 is more common, and some of that now is dependent on the age that you're born. So the year that you're born will dictate some of that. For me personally, I can take that the minute that I turned 65. I could have started taking my benefits. What that does, though, is for every year that you don't take the benefit, the rate goes up by 8%. So there's a pretty significant, my income has been good through the years. So there is a very significant amount of money there for me. And I think what most people don't realize is if you take it early, it's less money, and it's less money for the rest of your life. So if it's, $500 difference, it's a $500 difference from the day you take it to the day that you die. And I think the other thing that people don't understand is that that income can also be taxable. So right off the top, if you're able to apply for Medicare at 65, and that's Medicare A. Medicare A is free, and it covers hospital. If you need anything else, you are almost forced into taking Medicare Part B unless you have a job that is paying some of that. What happens then almost immediately, as soon as you get Medicare A, they want to start having you take Part B. And they pretty much tell you that that Part B is mandatory. It's a little bit driven by your income and how much your Social Security is. And they actually will start taking that money away. So see the people at McDonald's that are older, at Walmart that are older, and we'd all love to think that they're working there because they want to be out and about and enjoying society. But typically what's happened is they're there, if you talk with most of them, may not even be there so much for the income as they are for the benefits. So it's like, I need that additional insurance, because I know for me personally, my Part B benefit, or my Part B charge per month, was going to be about $400. Because of my income and everything that way. So it's like, okay, right off the top, you're going to take $400 away from me. And right off the top, you're going to tax some of my Social Security benefits as well. So even when you walk away at the age of 70 with everything, they immediately start taking that away. And there's taxes and things that come out of it.
I have a question
Uh,
now. I got to get this one. Now, I remember back in the day they were going to put in to your retirement account, if they want to establish a retirement account, when for people that they can use to invest the money, and they canceled that really quickly
Right,
because it was, according to them, um, it would give the clients the ability to control their income at one point, but then they said they would have a financial advisor to do it. I mean, they tried it in Arizona as well for the Arizona retirement account, and it went haywire. People put in, they were doubling it, and then they took it and went and bought all these electric cars. Do you think that, Social Security should be established as it was in the beginning, where the money that we put in is the money we get out, versus you got to wait to, all right, I'm 62, I can go for Social Security. No, because you'll lose $800.
right,
65, oh, you're going to lose another $400 or $500. It's like the trickle down theory all over again.
right.
And what they're doing is they're taking the money and they're using it for, as we already discovered, Social Security money went to the Department of Defense,
Right, right.
the ultimate screw job. So, do you think it would have been better to keep it as was, the initial plan, which was to have it so that the people can invest their own financials at the end? I mean, they have the decision. I mean, it's
Yeah,
our money. We shouldn't be taxed for working all our lives anyway.
right. They, in my mind, it's like exactly what you said. It's not being used for what it was intended to be used for, which was we're going to take some back and be sure that you're okay, that we're taking that money and investing. That's lovely, but they haven't necessarily invested in things that were going to make the kind of money that people can make if they know what they're doing. And then exactly what you said, it's like the only way you're going to get that before a certain age is if you're permanently disabled or black lung disease, a few different little things or whatever. Uh, but people think somebody's saving money and they're saving it, but it's not that much money and it's not invested in anything that's going to grow. So when you look at somebody like Donald Trump, he's got a lot of money, but even if he didn't have a lot of money, he knows where to put the money. And it's kind of, my conversation about, growing up. It's like I had a good family and I wasn't hurting for anything, but they didn't know how to make money the way that somebody knows that comes from money or that knows all those little ins and outs and everything. And I think that's been the huge thing with me over the last few years is just to be better educated about where do you put the money so it isn't taxed or where, how do you invest differently or whatever that way.
Now,
So,
the question next one would be for when you went to the Medicare. Oh my God! I mean, Medicare for all. Oh, I mean, it's just as bad as Obamacare, screwing us over every day of the week. I had a friend that was under Obamacare. And he made literally every 2 weeks he cleared $2,700, and to pay Obamacare for the month package, it was taking $1,300 out of each paycheck. So he was barely able to meet. Plus, he was on Medicare and then Medicaid because he had to get it, and food stamps because he couldn't afford anything because they were just sucking away his
right,
money like it was nothing. And then he retired. Make it worse, he retired. I feel sorry for him, but 62 years old. He passed away last year from COVID. But let me finish the story about him. Then he retired, and his Medicare was there, Medicaid was there. He went under the Part B, which he still had to fund with his own money, which
right,
was his Social Security benefit.
right,
I mean, the ultimate screw job.
right,
So basically, he ended up living in a rooming house
right,
because he was old and had, well, not old, but coming of age for his, because he had his Social Security. Because of that, he had to move into a rooming house. This man worked for Kodak.
right.
I'm sitting here like,
Yeah. These are
yeah,
not, yeah, these are not people that were sponging off of society. unfortunately, there are people that worked very, very, very hard, and they kind of, have that thing out there, I'm going to work for, 40 hours a week for 40 years. And it's like, and then your life is kind of nothing. And if it wasn't nothing, somebody's coming in and taking the money away that you thought you were going to have. And it used to be, my grandfather worked for the railroad. He had a pension. There's some teachers that have pensions and things are still out there, but even those we've watched be misappropriated, change a company, whatever. And I have a horror story in that I worked for a company and put money into a 401k.
Ooh.
And again, my assumption has always been, 401k is a 401k is a 401k. And when I got ready to leave the company, I decided, I'm going to take my money out and I'm going to put it in something different. I'm going to get a better return. I don't really want to have to deal with that company anymore. And I was at the age where you could take it out with no penalty. Set up, where I wanted it to go. And the money disappeared from my account to go where it was supposed to go, but it never made it there.
Okay.
And
It got
so
lost along the way. It got lost.
Yeah, it didn't really get lost along the way. It turns out that the plan that my company had was one that if you left the company and wanted your money, you had, it was taken out of your account, put in savings for a
Escrow.
year, and then given to you. And had I not kind of known who I maybe could call and complain to outside of the company, that money would have been gaining interest for the company that I worked for, not me. I would have been paying penalties because you really only have 60 days to roll it over. So I think, that's been a big issue. I guess the good thing about being my age is if anything could happen, it probably has at this point in time. So I have plenty of stories. But again, I think people think, oh, well, my 401k is going to be like your 401k, and same thing down the street. And it's really not. And it's not even when you take a job with a company and sign up, it may not stay the same year to year either. Those plans are renewed every year. The terms for the plans change, how much the employer invests changes. So there's just so many things out there that we don't know about, don't think about, and don't really teach our kids. The kids coming out don't get it either.
I remember when I was younger, they had, speaking of financial literacy, home economics classes. We had to learn how to save. The school was teachers, go to get a savings account, start with $1. The things that the traditional youngster would learn. But
Right.
not in this generation, they know it all. They know everything. They woke.
And I have a funny story about that because my son had always watched my husband and I, invest in our own businesses or buy rental properties as investments and things. So he'd grown up a little differently than we did. And it was funny because he was about third grade and the classroom teacher called me and she was very upset with him. And what are you so upset about? Well, I gave them the scenario. If I gave you $1, what would you do with it? And she was looking for that. I'm going to take a percent and save it, and a percent for the church, a percent, all that. And he told her that he goes, I would take it and I would buy lemons and sugar and cups. And she goes, what? And he goes, I buy lemon and sugar and cups. And he goes, and I would start a lemonade stand.
Yes.
And he said, so I take my $1. And he goes, by the time I got done, he goes, I wouldn't have $1 anymore. He goes, I might have $5, $10. And she goes, well, then you'd save it, right? And he goes, not if I was making money. I'd go back and I'd do it again. And she called me. She goes, I argued and argued with him and he just would not back down. And I go, good for him, because I go, I wouldn't want him to back down. I go, he knows, yes, you save some money too. And I go, but all he was saying, because and he even told her, he goes, I don't know how much it is. And he goes, but I think if you put that $1 in there, he goes, the bank can only give you like a penny. And he goes, I get all kinds of money by the end of the week. And I'm like,
right.
Yeah.
He knew right away.
Well,
That's a great lesson.
That is a lesson I have to learn. But I got one story for you that I've learned over the years, and this is something that I learned. I went to St. John College High School, which is college preparatory military Roman Catholic high school, all boys, back in my day. And that was the best time of my life. And I mean, you did not have the distraction of the females around you. You went chasing after school or when you skipped school, but that's another topic. We were taught in high school that if you were ever to buy a house, you build your equity in your escrow, you take that escrow and you reinvest it into another house, another piece of property. Let that property, you rent it out. Let it pay for your primary while you pay for your secondary, because the secondary is cheaper than your primary, because most people buy a house that they think is going to be for their life. And so you take that equity, put it into the second house, have a low payment, let that payment from the rental pay for the first house, while the second house, it's a smaller amount, so you just pay for the second house yourself, but the first house will be paid off faster because you're receiving more money in rent.
Right. Right.
Now, that's the pattern I learned. And it said once that main house is built, you got more in your escrow, more equity, or sell it and buy
Right.
3-4 smaller houses.
Right.
Then move into that secondary house. And the 3-4 houses that you got the money off that main house from pay for the second house and each other individuals. And then you move out of state to a lower income area and let that house, all those houses build you equity and income.
Right.
That was the method I learned. Why is it that they don't teach people that method or how to reinvest themselves?
I think you
teach it.
look at, kind of the story of my son. The schools, for the most part, are run by the government.
Mm-hmm.
So, and what does the government want? People working. What does the government want? People that will listen to whatever they're told and do what they're told. And so it's like it just kind of follows along that. Number one, you've got that issue going on of just, I want somebody that is going to do what they're told to do. And then you also have teachers, and it's like, look at, the average teacher, they're not making a lot of money. They're doing that because they love doing it. If they knew how to make money, they'd teach that to somebody else. Some of what I do, it's like I've, been working with my son and kind of trying to show him this is a different way to do things. It's like, if you put your money over here, that money isn't going to be tied to the stock market. That money is going to do nothing but grow. And honey, don't touch it. Leave it alone. Let it just continue to build and build and build, because then when you're my age, you don't have to worry about a thing. And sharing that with, kids his age. He's been a good disciple in sharing that with other kids. And some of his kids, some of his friends are from really low income backgrounds. They really don't stand a chance. And it's like, when you start showing them that little bit, just keeps growing and growing and growing, put it someplace where it can. It's like, that's going to be your ticket out. That will be your ticket out.
I've shown people an idea, and I mean, I think it's logical in more ways than one. When you start a job, of course, I didn't do it when I was younger. I was more the person trying to find and discover new people, new connections. That's the 80s generation. We were trying to link up and build what we call a network. Well,
Right.
Today they say, don't network. Try to find a person and find a partner. No, build your network. Your network is very important for you. I mean, I got friends in multiple areas. Well, I built a network from one's a doctor. He actually did the surgery on my mother's aneurysm. He was a classmate. I got some judges, some lawyers, I got a lot of different people in my network. And they still say the same thing, that in today's society, financially and economically speaking, this is going to be a rough ride. But if the individual finds and grows by purchasing property, land, maintaining that land, and putting in a structure on it for rental, it's the smartest move. I was telling my mother, the price of a 2x4x16, which most houses are used, or boards that are used to build houses, is $21 a board. And that's at Home Depot.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that these houses out here are going to be finished because you can't afford it. Even if you're rich, you won't spend that kind of money on a board. One board, $20. Okay, you're rich. You must be rich. You must be, what you're doing is investing in the property to sell it quick and make a little buck off of it. But most people that have a family will not continue the construction. They just let it sit until the price of lumber go down.
Right.
The problem is that it's smarter and cheaper to go and purchase one of those homes that are already, we call it prefabbed homes, that they,
Right.
cut in pieces and bring it to your property, drop it down, connect the lines, drop it on top of the sewer line, and you're calling it a day, run the
Right.
pipes in, done.
Right.
Why is it that this society still says you gotta build a house? You want that white picket fence. That dream died. It died back in the late 80s. What do you say?
Well, and part of me even would argue with you about the real estate and doing property anymore, because that's such a volatile market. And I know, even when we bought it was a good deal. So we bought mid 80, early 80s to mid to late 80s for everything that pretty much that we bought. At that point, the interest rates were like 14 and 15, 16%
Oh, that was
interest rates.
beautiful then. Beautiful.
But you were buying, what we were doing was VA and FHA assumptions for 6 and 7, and you were just taking it over.
Ooh.
So that was, and all we would do is we would drive by, look at the outside, go outside doesn't look bad, go on the inside doesn't look bad, and we're not fixer uppers. So it's like, if it needs paint, linoleum carpet, we're good. Otherwise, we keep on walking. All we would do is go, what's our down payment? And we would tell our realtor, we want something that has a down payment of $5,000 or less. So that's what we did. That's all that we bought. And when we went in, we'd go, what do you think you can rent it for? Here's our payment. This is what we're looking for. And we were good. Unfortunately, that was the point in time when I was working in the schools and my husband was busy kind of thinking, this was a good deal. We were buying like one a year. He went out and
Smart.
decided we weren't growing fast enough. He went out and bought 5 of them at once. Great idea. Great idea, except he bought them in September and October. They closed in November. Now we have, I believe it was 5 empty houses sitting from November to February or March because we live in Indiana.
Oh,
People
man.
didn't want to move around Christmas time. So it's like, can't leave them sit without the utilities on. We're not getting the money from the rent like we thought we were because they're sitting empty. And it's like, that was a huge gamble that finally turned out to be okay. And we've had some amazing renters, but we've had some disasters. And a lot of what we bought was in what I would term a working class neighborhood. So they were 3-bedroom brick homes, 1-car attached garage, working class neighborhoods. Those, because we didn't divest, get rid of them when we should have now become, in areas that are a little dicey in the Indianapolis area where I live. And it's like, and so, we still got them rented, but it's sure not safe to go in there to collect the rent at certain times of the day and some things that way. So as I've continued on, it's like I've taken a lot of that money and done more with insurance and things because there's so many people think, oh, insurance, what are you talking insurance? But when you're doing insurance, there's types of insurance that you lock in at a rate. When you get to that rate, if the stock market goes up, your rate goes up with it.
Without the elbow.
If the stock market drops, you stay right where you are. So it's like I can go in now and look at that and go, there's my money. My money never goes down. My money stays level or keeps going up. That money is my money because it's considered to be an insurance policy. It's not taxable. And if somebody sues me, I file for bankruptcy, nobody can touch that money that's in it. And because it's my money, I can take it out. So it's like, that's more what I'm doing now. Because it's like, when you get to a certain point, especially with me, it's like I was not a fixer-upper to begin with. My ex-husband was a bit of a fixer-upper, but he's not around in the picture anymore. So it's like, if anything goes wrong with the rentals that I do have, I'm paying somebody to come and take care of them, even if it's something major. Sometimes, I show up with a plunger in hand to take care of stuff. But it's like there's a thing that's called the rule of 72. And basically it just says if your interest rate, say you find something that will guarantee you 12% interest, that means that if you got $10,000, you take that 12 divided into 72, you got 6 years.
Right.
If you had $10,000, it'll double in 6 years. So just teaching somebody that and teaching to invest in those kinds of things, even if it's just a very little bit, it's like that's going to take you further. Because, I don't disagree with the real estate, but I work with some students via teletherapy in California, and they're talking, kind of the same thing. And it's like, well, honey, what do you think you're going to buy when you're 18 years old and you work at McDonald's? How much money have you got saved up to buy a house in California? So, could work, maybe not.
Even if you have it saved up, the banks are asking for astronomicals
Right.
amounts of money comparatively, and especially with the rate that they jacking up the price of property and itself, and then the structure. Come on, most structures. My mom's and aunt's structure was a full basement and 3 stories tall. $300,000 was the structure. They estimated it. Excuse me. They put in more than, I mean, for it all. I mean, from the point where the house was, and I'm sitting there like, okay, it doesn't add up, because if your structure is 300, where are you going to find a company to come in for $300,000 if you're going to take the insurance part and put into a company to rebuild the house because the house burned down? You're not going to pay them $300,000 to get that rebuilt. Not $21 a piece of lumber. It ain't adding up. It's not adding up. Now, my question is, when you see the rate that the land, and example for yours in Indianapolis, you bought it at a nice time when the value was moderate. It went up in value, and now being that the culture of the area has changed,
Right.
it has decreased in value.
It has not decreased in value. What has happened, though, is may not be as desirable.
Ah,
I can tell you that the rent continues to go up. I have a couple of families that their rent has not gone up in 4 years. I've left it the way it is. I'm probably a couple $100 a month below market, but they're good people. It's
right.
like you're good people, you're working, the house is paid for, you're not tearing it up. I run the risk if I raise your rent, you can't afford to live here anymore. And who knows who's going to walk in my front door. So it's like better to leave it the way it is. Has it gained in equity? Yes, they've gained in equity. So that, not a downside to it, I guess, but kind of what you're saying about your mom's property, the real estate taxes continue to climb. The insurance on the properties continues to climb. And so, kind of circling back to my little friends with Medicare and Social Security, it's like my home is paid off. It's all good. I don't have to worry about it. My home is free and clear. And it's like it was free and clear until they decided to bring a homeowners association in and charge you, $200 a month.
Right.
It was free and clear until your property taxes went to $6,000 a year. It was free and clear until your insurance went. And again, we're talking Indiana. We're not talking California or some of these places.
Washington, D.C.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like even when they think they're okay, they're not necessarily okay.
And they can
So,
change the rules at any time. I mean,
right.
they say,
Well, and you were bringing up before about Obamacare and some of that. They're now saying that they want to, there's a bill that they're trying to get passed that will make a 401k mandatory. So they're trying to get that passed. And it's like, I look at the nursing homes where I go and work, and, we've got certified nursing assistants, usually, single or single with small children. It's like, I'm already paying a fortune for daycare just to get to work. And now you're going to tell me that on top of mandatory health care, that I'm also going to have mandatory contribution to a 401k. It's like, I won't have anything
what?
left when I walk out the door. So
Mandatory?
mandatory 401ks now that they're trying to get bills passed.
Well, hold on.
That
So,
would ruin small businesses who can't afford to match
No,
or,
no. They're just saying the companies have to force it. They're not saying the company has to match it.
oh,
They're just
oh,
oh
that's
saying
a screw
that
job.
no,
employees are forced to.
they're forced to have a
That, yeah,
401k.
they're
The
trying to
companies
get, yeah,
don't have to, the companies just have to offer it.
right. And a
Uh,
lot of companies now, that's all they do anyway. They offer a 401k. They don't contribute anything to it.
Hold on,
You know,
with all the money the federal government's been dumping into these firm companies since the election time, quote unquote, they were dumping money into these companies, and these companies were saying they were not making it. They got these people working at home, and they still not making a profit. And now they're gonna tell you, hold on, we don't have enough money. I'm sorry, I had to take a raise this year. I'm sorry, I'm the CEO. I gotta take a raise,
right.
3 times the amount. But I'm not gonna let you know I got 3 times the amount plus the slush fund and the corporate car and the corporate apartment and the corporate house that I'm staying in because the company bought the house. And, oh, sorry, it's paying for the house that I'm living in. And when it's all paid for, I'm gonna own that house. But
Right.
they're not gonna match my 401k. They're not gonna at least double it.
But But a lot of companies don't do that anyway. A lot of them are just now, it's like, we have a 401k, but we just have it set up for you. We're not matching anything. We just have it set up so that it can be a group thing or whatever. A lot of them don't match it anymore.
That's a corporate
Not
screw job.
not even a tiny percent. And it's the same thing with company sponsored healthcare benefits. It's like I can go and sign up, and because now it's just me, but before if it was me and my son, because he was young enough, it's like my my insurance might cost me $400 twice a month out of my paycheck. So it's like, yeah, you offered healthcare, but the cost is so exorbitant, it's like that you can't really do anything with it anyway.
Hold on. So when you pay the $400 twice a month or a month, I got a question. Does it stack so that there'd be a big decrease? Say I had to have a cancer surgery that costs 145,000, and I haven't been to the hospital in 15 years. So can I get the surgery for free? No.
Don't think it works that way.
No, it don't work that way. I'm sorry. How about this? We give you a referral.
Yeah.
That's another corporate screw job. I mean, it sounds like they say it's political. No, I say it's corporate all the way because it's the means of keeping your corporation free of releasing your excess money so that your excess money can be used for corporate conventions and corporate talks and corporate meetings in other countries like or go to Hawaii or Bora Bora. You know what I mean? It's kind of interesting how the, the common citizen just sits there and takes that too. It's kind of hard. I mean,
And I think it's hard. It's like I worked as a speech therapist primarily in nursing homes all through the COVID thing. And I worked, in one nursing home chain in particular that they actively recruited COVID patients from the hospital. And the reason that they wanted them in their nursing home so very badly, yeah, is money. And that same group didn't have protective equipment a lot of times. So it's like, so I'm coming in, but you don't have an N95 for me. You're asking me if I feel comfortable treating this patient. And it's like, and I do, it's my job. I'm okay with that. But it's like, but you don't have the basic equipment that I need, but you actively recruited them. It's not like they came in and got sick after they got there, or they came in and they tested. It's like, no, you went to get them to get as much money as you possibly could get, but you never took the money to buy anything. Then you would hear, well, it's, the supplies are so low, they're not available. And it's like, really? Because I can go home and push the button on Amazon and get them delivered to my front door, because for a lot of weeks and months, that's exactly what I did. It's like, to protect myself, I will purchase it myself. Yes, it's kind of expensive, but there's not a shortage. There's not a shortage because I can go get it off Amazon. So you could go get it off Amazon too. So yeah.
just like the school teachers, you had to go purchase your own equipment. The teachers pay for this. I got to speak to the listeners out there right now because it kind of hurts. Just imagine a profession, an occupation where you're working and you're, doing for others, and you actually are receiving a salary or a paycheck that you're cutting part of your money out to give to those others because the system or the corporation is not going to give you what is needed.
Right.
That isn't, I'm sorry, I call it pure insanity because at that rate, Elon Musk is right. He needs to buy Department of Education. He might need to buy Health and Human Services because they should put it for sale. They call themselves corporate entities. I mean, they run themselves like corporate entities. Elon should buy them. Forget Twitter. I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna buy Department of Education, the Department of Health and Human Services, and I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna actually run it the correct way, not through the federal government way, because the federal government is taking your money and diverting it to, oh, hold on, DOD. This department over here, this department over there, and none of it's actually going back to the common citizen.
Right.
It's
Well, and you can't,
a screw job.
you cannot say anything as an employee. And again, it's like kind of why more and more I've gone, I don't want to be an employee because it's like you can't say anything. It's like if you say very much, it's like, oh, turns out we don't have hours for you next week after all.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's like we did promise you, 10 extra hours of work, but yeah, things have changed or whatever. And it's like, yeah, because, Susie Sunshine that never says anything or is afraid to say anything is, not going to cause a problem. So she's going to be the one that you bring in.
She
It's
get that
like,
60 hours overtime, huh? Look, they gonna work her like a slave promised freedom.
right. And it's bad for me. I feel that way as when I'm an employee, I feel that way that, I'm hesitant about what I say. I'm not hurting. It's like I'm not financially hurting. I'm not worried about where my next meal is coming from. My son is old enough, we don't need daycare. But when you look at the people that I work with, sometimes it's like, you cannot afford to say a word. You can't afford to do anything different than what you're doing. And you'll put your own health at risk and at risk of your family because you just can't see to do anything different and you can't figure a way out.
Welcome to the new USA. Everybody, I hope you heard this. I mean, you said censorship. Hell, we going way beyond censorship. This is like a dictatorship, a corporate
then-
dictatorship. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Rowena.
So then what do we do? What do we do? I mean, we're up against the wall. We work all the time and we put away for Social Security. We try to feed our families. We try to pay the rent. We try to keep the lights on. Um, what suggestions can you make? I mean, what's out there? What are the options?
I have been working a lot with people just again on the whole financial piece of, what do you do differently? What do people that have money do that we don't do? How do you train these kids, kind of like with my son in the lemonade stand, if somebody gives you $1, no, you don't necessarily put it in the bank. Maybe you save some of it, but you save in a different way, and it doesn't have to be, kind of talked about that rule of 72. It doesn't have to be anything, spectacular. It doesn't have to be a lot. It just has to be a little bit every single day, growing and growing. And I think we are at that point. You're seeing more and more millennials do the I have my own company kind of thing. Again, I think some of them are in for a shock also because it's kind of what you were saying. It's like, I have my own company. I'm a millennial. I'm, 25. I have my own company. And I took all my money that I had from my own company and I didn't really invest it and I didn't really save it. But I have like a super nice house and I have a $70,000 car parked in front of my nice house that I can barely pay for. So I think, again, it's just all the things that need to be re-educated about where do you put that money. I talked about, building up annuities, putting money in annuities so you have guaranteed income for life. Again, doesn't have to be a lot, but you got to start someplace, and that's where you got to start with these kids. They're all graduating this month. Within this last week or so, last couple of weeks going forward, you got high school kids graduating. You know what? They're getting hundreds of dollars in graduation money. It's like $100 a month for the next 12 months could buy you, the insurance policy that that I'm familiar with or whatever. It's like, that's going to set you for life. That $1,200 could be double that, to $2,400. It's like, doesn't sound like much. It's a huge deal when you don't have anything.
Right.
And when they start to see what that does for them, then it's huge, it's completely different. I, talked with a friend of mine, and, she was explaining to me, how to become like an agent where you do insurance kinds of things. You don't even have to have a high school diploma. In most states, you just have to be 18 years old. So if you're 18 years old, you got a little bit of money to get that license, you have the capability of having your own company. So you either have your own company and you're a broker for different, financial types of products, or you go to work for a company that sells those financial products. But I think they were saying, like in Indiana, the typical agent, once they have their license, income's around $50,000 to $60,000 a year. That's somebody that doesn't even have a high school diploma. You just have to be 18. So it's like, why, and there's a lot of, stuff in my neighborhood. So I have everything from inner city schools in Indianapolis to rural schools because I'm on the edge of the county. Trying to make more of an issue with kids about you don't necessarily need a college education. You may make more money going to a technical school as a plumber or electrician or whatever, but there's also that capability of not even doing that trade school and just still being able to move ahead.
Now, you had mentioned annuities. Tell us about that. What are annuities and how do they work?
That was my question.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Annuities, you are basically, say you leave a company with a 401k at a certain age, you can roll that over. And an annuity, basically, the money, a portion of your money is taken, it's invested by the company that you purchased the annuity from, and they're investing that money and getting a big return on it. So maybe you start out with $100,000, a portion of that is taken and it's growing inside of there. And with an annuity, you never run out of money. So it's always going to continue to pay. Even if you hit 100 years old, you live that long, it's continuing to pay you a certain portion of an income or whatever.
So it'll give you like paid time off for the rest of your life.
Kind of, if you want to put it that way. Yeah.
Lifetime PTO.
Yeah, there you go. So it's kind of like, again, an addition to that Social Security. So if you say, once I hit a certain age, I'm going to take 5% of that money that's building up in there. That money never goes away. You never lose the money. The money doesn't go away. There's different kinds of annuities. So there's ones that are called variable. That means that they're a little bit more high risk. And usually that means the interest can go up and down. It can fluctuate greatly. It's for somebody typically younger that wants, they're okay with that risk. It's like, yeah, I got a long time to go to watch the market go up and down. But there's also what they call fixed. And it's like, then I'm not worried about it. It's like, I know it's constantly growing. And I have 2 that are fixed. And it's like every month I watch that amount continues to grow. And I'm not worried, oh my gosh, what's going to happen when I get older? If I can't make money or something happens, then what?
Is that like Gerber life insurance type thing? When I was a little kid, I got that.
Don't bring up Gerber Life, because I have Gerber Life for my parents had Gerber Life for me, and I bought for my son when he was little. Gerber Life is basically whole life. So that just means, it's a very tiny amount. I think mine's like $55 a month or something. Or
Yeah.
no, $55 a year,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I know what you're talking about, but
Right.
the question is,
But it's like, if something happens, you get that amount, but it's never usually more than $5,000, $10,000. So
right.
really, it's not enough to cover a burial cost. What I will tell parents, and I have friends of mine or whatever, they'll put money in that, but basically you're never gonna, the money's not gonna build into anything. It's basically just a whole life policy. I made the mistake, and I have friends that continue to do it, of putting money in a 529 for college. The 529 can only be used for college. I put a decent amount in there because my son was going to go to college, except guess what? He's a musician, and
Oh,
he writes music and does all of this stuff, and is very, very creative, and doesn't want to go to college and doesn't need to go to college probably. But the problem becomes that money's only for college. So either I can assign it to somebody else, but I don't have any other kids and I don't have any grandchildren. I could use it myself or whatever. Had I taken that money, and it's like I talk with my friends, it's like, don't put money in a 529, put money in an IUL, because an IUL, it's your money. It can be used for anything. So had I done that for him when he was little, then I could say, well, you know what, honey, you're looking for money to, rent a studio. You're looking for money to promote this record that you have. Here's $5,000 out of there to do that. It's not taxed because it's my money, so I don't have to pay anything. I can pay, take it out, put it back, or do whatever I want to do. If at some point in time he said, he were to say, I'm going to get married, I like a down payment for a house. Okay, we got that money back there. I'm pulling out, $50,000 for a down payment. But again, parents, you hear a lot of promotion about things like 529. You hear a lot of promotion about put your money in a savings account at the bank. It's like you hear the things that common people are told to do that don't necessarily do anything except keep you tied to a job, keep you tied to what you've always done.
so that money that you put in, either you would have to go to community college and
Right,
take a class in any BS class,
right.
just to get a certificate.
You can take the money out, but it's taxed.
Oh,
So you are taxed like 10% of the money, and then whatever interest has been earned on it, whatever you take out, that interest becomes part of your income for the year. So it's like, I'm automatically going to take 10% out if you take it out for anything other than college and college costs, or I'm going to also going to tax it onto your income
oh,
because
that's a
I'm the
screw job.
owner.
That's a
Yeah.
screw job.
Where so if you do, like the indexed universal life, then those are the things that you don't have to worry about. Because it's like, I put my money in there and it just continues to grow. It's not tied in a negative way to the stock market. It's kind of that same thing I was talking about. It's like, if you put it in at 10%, it's going to stay at 10. Stock market goes up to 12, it goes to 12. Stock market drops to 1, it stayed at 10. It just continues to grow. And right now it's like I was like the demon because I belong to a mother's group in the Indianapolis area. And I took a screenshot of my son's 529 and showed boom, 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 going up, 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 down the slide, and said, this is why don't make the mistake I made of doing these, because here's what can happen. And, immediately people are like, oh, but mine's, I think mine's doing well. I was going to check it. I'm pretty sure mine's doing well. And it's like, go back and check it because I can guarantee it's not doing well. So it was kind of like, oh, but they tell you to do a 529 or they'll give you a bonus or whatever. And it's like, yeah, they will, but you won't recoup it when you see how much you've lost if things change. So,
It
And
sounds.
and with the index universal life, with
Yeah, go ahead. Index
your
universal
child,
life.
then then you can it's you take it out, and they don't have to declare it on the FAFSA, right?
right.
Now, my question goes back to when you were talking about the kids and the millennials. I love them. I just love them. They went and bought these cars, and you know, I started a business. I'm going to go get the credit, go get a car, and get a condo. And, you know, it's like the statement. You know, you got the, you know, you walking around with a champagne glass, but you got beer in it,
Right.
and they forget the fact that they got to pay those creditors. They
Right.
gotta also, hold on, you gotta pay yourself. And then you got to pay those bills that comes from the things that you purchase, i.e., you bought a brand new car. Now you got car insurance. Now you got to also put gas in that car. Then you got to do maintenance. The condo, you got to pay the condo fees. You got to pay the electric and the water bill. I mean, they don't see the further down the street outcomes.
Well, and there's a different way of looking because the company that I worked with before, my boss and I, was a little bit older than he is. And, you know, small company. And he goes, what is going on? And I said, what are you talking about? And he goes, well, I keep hiring these people for full time. He goes, what do you think full time is? And I go, 40 hours. Yeah, I go 40 hours. And he goes, no, he goes, it's not 40 hours. And I go, what is it? And he goes, it's whatever you have to work to qualify for benefits. So he said, I'm telling these, you know, young ladies and young men that you need to work 32 hours to get benefits, to qualify for benefits. And he goes, so they expect to be put on the schedule for 32 hours and nothing more. And he goes, there's something wrong with this picture because he goes, you and I are working 60 hours because he was a physical therapist on speech. It's like, you and I are working like 60, 65 hours and we're salaried. And he goes, and they're working 32 because that qualifies you to be full time. And he goes, what usually for, and it's like, yeah. So there's also that philosophy on top of it of I don't work more than whatever it takes me to get my benefits. So 40 hours is not. And then you think, well, maybe they're doing other stuff on the side. It's like, maybe you're developing a business on your side or on the side, or you're doing it. It's like, no, you're just working your 32 hours and going car shopping.
I'm sitting here, you know, sometimes you just want to bang your head against the wall because of the way the system of people, the ideology of today. I mean, isms, schisms, and just you want to sit there and just ponder how these people expect to survive. I mean, i.e., here's a perfect example. Remember when we were talking about this today? We were chatting today saying, I said, Bitcoin, we gave her an article about Bitcoin, and well, European market wants to take and make they were looking to make a single coin outlet, one coin, and regulate it. And that means you got a whole market full of these virtual money coins out there, but you got to figure out which one are they going to pick to be the coin for their universal one world financial system.
Right.
And I said, you know, I'll put my money that Bitcoin is not going to be the one because there's too many people into it. And economic loss in Bitcoin would satisfy the system. It'll satisfy the powers that be because number one, and I told her, and I bet Elon Musk will say, well, you know, I am going to invest in the universal one real quick because that's going to be backed and it's going to be safe and secure. It's not going to be volatile as the rest of them would. So, I mean, I'm looking at the world as from a different perspective. I'm looking at it as you can make financial gains. You can satisfy the need of independence, financial growth, and security. The problem is it's so volatile, you don't know which direction to go in. I.e., you just got rid of COVID, and now you got the monkey flu, you know, the monkeypox coming. And they shutting down in Europe over that. And now, is there going to be a new shot? Well, let me know what companies got it so I can invest in them.
Right.
But see, the whole thing is getting weirder because you've got companies that grew overnight, per se, for COVID, They came into existence. Poof, we're here.
Right.
And they're making trillions of dollars.
Right.
What you gonna do with this one? Give me that list of company names that are making the vaccine, please. Thank you. I would invest $50 if I had to, just to get a piece of that pie. Um, the youngster today does not see that as an investment. They see it as, well, this is what I gotta do. I gotta have this so I can maintain my job and my security, my 30 some hours. I always thought 40 was full time. Anything under 40 was part time.
Not
Right.
anymore.
Not anymore. No.
No,
32
it's
hours is full time now.
32 is full-time to get benefits usually for most companies. And I think the sad part is I am a therapist. So most of the people I work with and that I know well are therapists. Most of them either have a master's degree or they have a PhD. A lot of the physical therapists now have a PhD. We are not talking stupid people. We are talking people with education that should have enough money to save back. We're talking people that should be able to look at what's going on around them and interpret
Analyze,
or
interpret. I like that one.
yeah, interpret what might happen or think about it or demonstrate some insight. And there is virtually none of that going on.
It can't.
And even, I look back even, it's probably been about 15 years ago that I worked for a company. We had several nursing home chains and I knew that it probably wasn't going to last. They probably were going to go in-house. Employees were not going to have jobs. And it's like, I met with them periodically and just said, it's not looking good. So what's your backup plan? Where else could you get a job? What else could you be doing? It's like, probably not going to quit being a therapist, but what other things could you do? 15 years ago, you got them to listen. 15 years ago, they would go, okay, so what are you thinking? Well, let me help you beef up your resume. Let me help you find other positions. So if what I'm trying to give you isn't here, that you don't go hungry, that you don't have to worry about. Let me help you. Now, when you try to talk to this same group, people that are younger, it's kind of like, oh, you don't know, you don't need to bother. Well, would you like me to show you about this? Why this might make more sense financially than this would. No, I'm good. I'm good.
They know everything.
I saw this commercial and I talked to my buddy and I had a couple beers and we were talking. And it's like there isn't that listening going on like there was probably when you and I were younger. It's like, yeah, you didn't always listen to what your parents told you, but you kind of did. It's like they could kind of guide you, or at least you would sit down with them and let them show you. I don't really even see that going on much anymore.
Where do you get the kids sitting at the table with the parents? Hold on, I got my cell phone. Where you get the kids even talking to their parents? I'm watching this movie, Ma. Hold on, I got to beat the bog. I mean, the system, today's generation, the system itself has put technology in front of the noodles. I mean, legitimately, the cell phone is the Library of Congress in your palm of your hand. But legitimately, these kids are not intelligent enough to analyze information or to ascertain, or in fact, they can't even have foresight to see what's coming in front of them. When I look at the way the society has, I'm trying to be nice. I usually say they're ignorant. I usually say they're mildly, the words that they don't like to use, the new culture says, you can't call nobody retarded, you can't call them stupid, you can't call them ignorant. Well, I just did that. The kids are lost. They don't have the ability to respectfully have a conversation without the ability to not argue about something. They don't have the ability to communicate on an educated level, and they've lost their train of thought by the time they finish playing with or looking at a text message.
Right.
And it's a ridiculous notion to think that they are going to be able to learn financial awareness and financial growth unless they are impoverished. And that's the only way out because they don't, well, they still have a cell phone, you know, they got the government one, but they are actually not able to use it as they would because they're so needy to grow financially.
Right.
The whole situation is, if you're down hard enough and far enough, you will want to rise. You know, like they say, you can't keep a good man down or can't kick a person down hard enough. That's a fact. Because once you hit rock bottom, there's nothing but up. But these kids don't know what rock bottom is because, oh, well, Tommy has this thing that he's doing. I play my World of Warcraft or my Minecraft as they do today, and I'm gonna learn this new method and technique of blah 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 while he's telling me how to do it. Well, you're learning from a kid that doesn't even know what he's talking about. He hasn't seen society or been part of society. He doesn't have the experience. He hasn't walked the walk and talked the talk. So why are you listening to him?
Right. And okay. Right. And he's listening to you. And the two of you together are not doing well.
The blind leading the blind, the dumb being dumber, and the same fool is, you're just making one complete fool, one complete idiot. I mean, I'm sorry. If you want to learn something about finance and economics, you're listening to it right now. Don't be a dummy, don't be a fool, and don't be what they call a minion to another fool. That's a better way of saying minion to another fool. Don't be that little sidekick to a fool that doesn't know what they're talking about. They're just going to use you for your money to build their pockets. And when they get their pockets full, you ain't nothing. They're going to toss you aside. Trust me, it's going to be that way because you're not worthy. Because you have not challenged. And, oh, he's my friend or she's my friend. Yeah, okay. See how far you can go with that. Ask your friend for $500 right now. That's how you find out who your friend is. You need it. You got to have that bill paid. Ask them for it right now. $500. I guarantee you, you ain't going to find a friend. Oh, I got to pay this bill. Oh, hold on. My dog, it needs help down the street. Let me go find it. You know, you got every excuse under the sun. But right now, there's a point in your life you saying, hold on, maybe he's onto something. Maybe these two ladies are onto something. This is where you start to think, maybe I should ask that question. How can I be financially secure? How can I hold a little something in my pocket while the society tries to suck everything out of me? What should I invest in? What should I put it in? My money, what should I put it in? Should I put it in my own education? Well, you know, there's a thing out there called educated fool. Okay, what kind of job should I have? Well, I'll tell you honestly, look for a job that's plentiful in the market, that's not oversaturated. And right now, with a board costing $21, I don't think it's going to be construction. I'm sorry. Don't think it's going to be construction. But back to the ladies. I'm sorry. I got a little rant going on because your topic is making me hot. Because I'm thinking about these kids. I'm thinking about the youth. And I'm thinking about this generation. And then I'm looking at this new virus coming out. And what happens to them when it shuts down? Oh, I'm sorry. I live in Washington, D.C. I can go right downtown, look by the Capitol building, and see tents and tents and tents and tents all around. Hell, they might as well put them on the United States Federal Mall, the Park Service Mall, or right there by the Library of Congress. How about this? Put it right up on the Washington Monument. That's how many people are here that are homeless. They are done. They're financially destitute.
Right.
They're going to.
And that's just growing.
It's going to grow. And, hold on, Rowena, you said it yourself.
Yeah.
When you
Well,
saw
I was,
when you were in Seattle, you saw
yes.
it. Go ahead, tell
Yeah,
them
I
about
mean,
it.
it just, yeah, it's just that there are people that are just lining the highways, and they're, I'll show you a picture, but they're just everywhere, and more and more, and now I see that they're going to be, let's see here. Yeah, so this is there are these tent communities just on the side of the road, right on the highway, and there are more and more of them. from what I understand from the natives of Seattle, they're going to make, or there's a bill to make um, homelessness illegal. That Seattle is building these communities for these people to go to, and will shuttle these people to those communities, and
FEMA
they will be
camps.
forced. Yes, they will be
FEMA
forced to live
camps.
there. But the problem is, these people will not go. They will not go willingly.
Can we say the
Uh,
word FEMA camps? Yeah, y'all talked
yeah.
about FEMA camps. All you conspiracy theorists out there say, yeah, they're gonna start creating FEMA. Where do you think these people are gonna be shuttled to? You remember back in World War II, the Japanese people that were in California, where did they put them? In camps. Look at these people right here. These are hardworking American citizens. These are people that had homes. These are people that had families that were together. Now they're displaced. They have to live in tents. Hold on. Maybe I can save myself. I put a P.O. box, a post office box, right beside my tent. Yeah. It's not going to work. See, the problem that people are having right now, you're living in a damn dream. You're living a fictitious world. This world you're seeing through your eyes is a lie. The world we're showing you, the image showed you, was reality. Wake up, smell the coffee, listen to these ladies, and take notes. Get your pad and pencil out. They gave you all enough information from the beginning. Oh, you didn't get those notes? Go back and go get some. I'm talking. Bye, ladies. I'm going to be quiet. I'm hot. It's sweaty up in here right now.
I like though that you said if that's your friend asking for $500, because I think everybody thinks that can't happen to me. And I have one friend in particular that COVID hit, and the guy probably makes easily $300,000 a year. And COVID hit, he was affected by it and had a stroke. And they were on immediately setting up a GoFundMe page. And it's like, this is somebody making $300,000 a year easy on a bad year. So I think your whole thing about, could you give me $500? If you can't give me $500, that means you don't have $500 if something goes wrong. And I think more and more and more, it's not even the millennials, it's everybody. It's like you wouldn't know where to turn to get it if you had to. And, I had a friend sit down with me and again, it's like, I thought I knew. It's like, I've been here. I thought I knew where to put the money. I've always saved. I try to take care of things. If I don't have enough money, I go work someplace else or do whatever I need to do. But, I had a friend of mine sit down with me and, let me help you. You're getting close to retirement, wanting to do something. Let me walk through things with you. Like, where do you have it? Could you put it someplace different? And it's like, I cannot tell you what that's done for me in terms of knowing that things are taken care of, helping my son to see things differently. And it's like, and it's a small scale. It's like if you're a multimillionaire, then you have a bigger emergency fund than the guy that only makes $20,000 a year.
Well, you
But you
hope.
got,
You
but
hope.
you got, yeah, you hope, but you got something. And I think, that whole, does your friend have $500 to loan you? Because if he doesn't know what he's doing. And so taking advice from him is probably not a good idea. If you don't have $500 or, again, they always say what used to be 3 months worth of income, then it went to 6 months of income. Now I think they're saying a year's worth of income.
How you
It's
gonna
like
hold
if
a
you,
year's worth of income? I'm trying to figure that one out. Look, that was
right.
gonna be one of my questions too. How do you get a year's worth of income? Because you only work year for year.
But again, it's like when you go back, if you say, I put money in a 401k at work and it rockets up and down and up and down. Take that same money that I was going to do and set up an annuity, set up, the life insurance, set up the whatever. And again, I think when people say life insurance, it's like, oh, I have to get, I don't care what happens after I die. It's like, no, 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 no. This is different. It's like the old bag phones that you carried around with your cell phone. It's like, now you got this little guy. Same thing with this insurance. It's like, it's something completely different. It's your money. You can get a hold of it. You can watch it grow. It's not going to go up and down. And it's like, you got to start someplace. It's like we all started someplace. I'm sure that, financially, you're better off than you were a few years ago, or that's your goal anyway. You got a little bit more money saved. That's all anybody's trying to do. And all anybody's trying to do, especially with these kids, is like, if you're just starting out and you got a little bit of money, your little bit of money is going to grow very, very quickly. And, that's all it takes. And start looking again, we kind of talked about, hey, you don't even have to have a high school diploma. You can get a job as an insurance agent. No, that's not fun. That's not exciting. It's like, no, it's not. But guess what? That's the kickoff and the starting point for somebody being a stockbroker. So when you say insurance agent, kind of like, oh my God, an insurance agent. Stockbroker, oh, a stockbroker driving a fancy car. It's like, that's where they started, guys. That's where they started. So I think just, again, I'm kind of like you. It's like the more I know, the more impassioned I become. And sometimes I'm obnoxious about it, of like, please, please, please listen to me, because you wouldn't listen to me a year ago when we were kind of talking about some of these things, but now you're on GoFundMe wanting to know if I can send you $20. It's like, and that's not the millennial. So yeah,
That's
Rowena,
just everybody, your
everybody.
neighbors next door, where insurance is getting high, everything's getting high. We just don't have the funds anymore. And so we have to find ways, creative ways to put our money into so that it grows and that we, instead of working for money, we have the money working for us. And there are options to do that. It's just a matter of being educated, teaching ourselves what's out there.
it changes so often. I mean, uh, people, just take note. One more time, I'm gonna go to the people. I'm telling y'all again. You remember when COVID first hit and they shut it all down and locked us all down? They were giving everybody that, that workman's compensation, and people were lying and weren't working and getting that money, and everybody was getting a little cash flow on the side. I wasn't, but everybody was. And then people that had small businesses, you had to have $99,000 making that much in order to get it. 99,000. Excuse me, you're a small business. Most small businesses don't make 99,000. But that's okay. Okay, I got screwed again. Okay, I got screwed again. It's okay. But then you start to think about, they were giving you the stimulus checks, and some people just weren't getting it, and others were getting it for them. Adding them to the what they did. They did dirt. Uh, I have to say one thing: this society is just dirty, nasty. They're shystering. They're more business than business. I mean, I'm sorry, businessmen are not even this nasty as the society around us are. But guess what? These ladies are teaching you legitimate, homegrown ways. Things that they've lived through, seen, been through. It's like been there, done that type things. They're preventive ways. This is secure ways. You know something? I'd rather have a secure $100 in my pocket that won't move than $100 that's going to be on an elbow, as they say, and I might have to spend 75 here, 150 here. I'd rather walk around with a beer can than a champagne glass full of beer. I mean, be honest. Be honest with yourself. These ladies are here to teach you. I'm going to keep saying this. They're telling you something that's going to prepare you for the future. The future is what you're supposed to be looking for. Hold on. I remember back in the day, what's your 5-year plan? What's your 10-year plan? What do you want to do? Where you want to go from A to point B? How you going to get there? You're supposed to ask these questions. I remember when I was a little kid, you sit down and talk about these things. I mean, my grandma and grandpa used to sit there and they used to say, now, do you want to be a doctor, a lawyer? No. I don't want to be an astronaut either. No. I want to be Superman. Well, that's a scientist. All right, you want to be in science. All right, what you want to do in science? or genetic changes, or something like that. The idea is to be something. Be something. Be good at something. If you're a good bum, be a damn good bum out there. Okay? I mean, use your hustle abilities. Get what you can, but don't waste it. Don't waste what you have, because people out there are working. They're working hours upon hours, and they're helping society. They're helping the people. They're giving their time at food banks and working at different organizations to help people. I mean, my whole biggest anger is we're giving money, the United States government is giving money to other countries when we got people that are living in those tents. That's my anger. It should be your anger. Your representatives are taking your money and sending it overseas. Wake up. There's a deal somewhere in their pockets. What's in yours? Oh, dang, did I do a commercial? What's in your pocket? Nada. That's right, because they got it all. They're senators. Oh, hold on, your House of Representatives. Let's talk about them. They get to know the stock before it even hits the market. They know which way to push it so they can come in their pocket. What's in your pocket? You know, we just learned that the Supreme Court they already know what they're going to say before they say it. What's in your pocket? I mean, this is nothing but a corporation. A big corporation, but it's a corporation. Corporate screw job is all around you. And these ladies here are trying to say, there's a way you can secure yourself, your life. A way you can grow. It may be small growth, but it's worth it. I mean, a tree doesn't grow overnight. A pear tree ain't gonna be there overnight. A plum tree, apple tree, it's not overnight. Nothing you put in the ground grows overnight. So, how about listening to them, people? Please. I'm gonna shut up for the last 30 minutes of the show, and I'm just gonna let them teach. Oh, by the way, Rowena, if you've got more pictures, please show them, because I think we're working on the heart of man and woman. See, I don't believe in pronouns. So if y'all think there's pronouns out there, just shove it up your ass. I don't believe in pronouns. So the bottom line is simple. We're working on the hearts of the people, the real people out there, the real people that have real initiative, that want to really live a life. I'm tired of seeing people suffer. I'm tired of seeing people out there that have worked 20 years in those tents. I'm tired of seeing society manipulate itself to the point where it destroys a city and people who had jobs at those businesses that they burned down in those tents. I'm tired of seeing our communities destroyed because we've just imported people into our country that want to bring gang warfare and isms and schisms into our culture. I'm tired of not being able to say a pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Thank you, Odin. Hold on. What country you in? I'm tired of not being able to say Merry Christmas. You in my house, my country. And you trying to tell me I can't say Merry Christmas? I can't celebrate Christmas? Come on, man. You people need to wake up. You letting someone manipulate your mind, and then they got your pockets. Wake up. Ladies, I'm done. It's all y'all's.
No, I mean, and it was one of the saddest things for me to see, just being driven down the highway, to see these tent communities, and then realizing that what's going to happen to these people. And like they have no recourse.
Do they get medical? Do they get medical? Can they at least get medical? Can they get food stamps?
And see, so how does it end? How do we stop it? And I think that if we can just teach people what to do and early before this happens to them.
Well, and I think it's one of those that if you're doing,
then it doesn't have to be such a crisis.
yeah. And I think it's one of those, if you're doing okay, and you don't think it will happen to you, you could also be right about that too. It's like, it's not going to happen to you. You're okay and it's fine. But then I think you still have that responsibility, if you're doing okay and you know you'll be okay, to share with other people who aren't okay, who aren't going to be okay. Somebody, it's, kind of what you said, they're going into those camps and trying to help people, and they've been doing it for a long time. Somebody isn't getting paid to do that usually. It's like they're doing that, they're volunteering their time. It's the same thing, sometimes when I'm talking to somebody, it's like, I'm not getting paid for it. I'm volunteering my time to sit down with you and show you there's another way out of this. Your family doesn't have money for 4 years at college. Your family doesn't have money for 2 years at Ivy Tech. There's a program that you could, get into that will start you with a well-respected occupation that will turn it around for you. And from there, then you begin to build, and you begin to build for the things that your family didn't have. It's kind of what I did. It's like, there are things my family didn't have. I did better than my family. I hope my son does better than me. And it's like, but you got to do that education and find out what's out there. And kind of what I said, the government's not motivated to teach this stuff. They want employees. They want people that listen and do whatever they want. I have a friend of mine whose husband is, was in drug enforcement for a very long time. And he goes, sometimes the things you see on the news are things that get created so that everybody's focused on the thing on the news, so we can go back over here and do something different. It's like, we got a completely different thing going on over here. We want you focused over here. Same thing. We want you focused on putting money in a 401k, because if you do that with your employer, then you're probably not going to leave your job, because you don't want to leave your money behind. You can't do anything with it. We don't want you to really grow your money or know about places where you could do that, because if you could do that, then you're not going to be as dependent on us for, public assistance and, food stamps and all the things that we have to offer. And that's how I buy my vote from you. I tell you that if I get elected to office, I'll have all of these handouts. So it's like, again, it's like, I'm 67 years old. I have certainly made mistakes just like everybody else. But it's like, I feel like I need to share some of those mistakes, and also acknowledge that even in the last couple of years, just because somebody showed me something different, my life's completely different. I'm not as concerned as I once was about what happens if kind of thing. And it's like, there's so many opportunities and so many people out there willing to help. So the same people that are willing to sell you a bill of goods, there's other people that are totally willing to help get you, head in the right direction, or see that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, to have something different than what you had before.
So then going back to Social Security, if you start at 62, say you get 1,000 a month,
Mhm.
right? You start at 65, you get 1,500 a month. And if you start at 67, you'll get
It's like,
1,800 a month.
it's like an 8% increase every year.
Yeah.
So for every year you don't take it, that's another year that you get 8% more than you would have. So that's why a lot of people, myself included, it's like, I'm going to try to stretch that out. And again, all of this is individual kinds of things. It's like, am I going to stretch mine out? Yeah, because I'm in good health. So if I think that I'm at least going to live to, I think, and there's groups that will even sit down with you and go, okay, you think you're going to live this long. Should you wait to 70? Should you take a little bit early? What should you do? But it's like, I think my break even, if I wait till I'm 70, my break even's like at 82. So it's like, if you wait to 70, take the full amount, you're going to go to 82. If you've taken it early, it's like, that's your break even. It's like, you will have to live this long to make that all work, kind of thing. So again, some of it's a gamble. Some of it, again, it's like, did my financial picture change when I got divorced? Yes. Did my ex-husband's picture change when we got divorced? Yes. Was either one of us hurt financially by that? Not particularly, because we made up our minds that, we would divide things the best way we knew how. We would do arbitration. We weren't going to donate it to a lawyer, whatever kind of thing, through fees and all. But at the same time, there's costs that you incur just by the fact that you're not married anymore. It's like my son was not driving yet, so I spent money when I was working to Uber or get him someplace where he was supposed to go. My husband, ex-husband spends more money on food and different things that way because I'm not cooking where I was before. So it's like, it's just little things. And kind of what you said, those little things used to be a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, a 15-year plan. Now it's almost, what's a 5-month plan? Because things are just so different right now. The industries are different. Companies don't stay in business forever like they used to. You don't think about going to work for a company for the next 30 years. Just doesn't happen anymore. They go belly up, they get bought by somebody different. The technology, look at how many things have been created in our lifetimes, invention wise, and how many things are now obsolete. It's like, I really don't play my VHS tapes anymore. So it's kind of the same thing. It's like, if I still was wanting to be a VHS tape maker, my job opportunities would be limited. So again, it's just looking at where are you individually, where do you want to be, what are your goals? And some of those goals will change as you get married, as you have children, you get to a point in time where you have to take care of elderly parents. It's like those things keep changing, and they'll say, take a look at that once a year, at least once a year. Where am I now? Is that where I wanted to be? What else is going on? But there's a lot of that can just be controlled with the right decisions, the right financial investments. And again, financial investment sounds like millions of dollars. No, it may just be $50 a month. If that's all you can do, it may just be $50 a month, but it's $50 a month you weren't putting in before. So, Rowena and I have been friends for a while, and I know, she feels just as passionately as I do about this of just, you've got to get that word out to people that these opportunities exist.
Yeah, because most folks don't even know about it. They've been told a different story ever since the beginning, and it feels that it's our duty to spread the word. And how do we get a hold of you, Susan? What's your email or?
For me, my email, probably the easiest one to reach me at is languagepartnersllc@gmail.com.
Okay, and this is your own business, the Language
That's
Partners?
my consulting when I'm doing therapy stuff.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, I mean, uh, as far as these IULs what age can you start with
You
an
can
IUL?
you can do an IUL as early as I'm a brand new little baby that just showed up. So what?
Really?
Uh-huh.
Really?
So it's kind of like
So
the
at
Gerber.
birth?
Yeah, at
So
birth.
at
So kind of,
birth?
yeah, kind of like what we were talking about, the Gerber policies or whatever, Gerber life insurance. What you can do, and again, it's like I set something up for my son. So he had been putting $300 a month in the bank and putting in a savings account, kind of the only thing he knew to do. And I was happy that he was doing that. But then we found out that you can actually do these indexed universal life policies. And with that, it's like, okay, I think when he went in was, I believe, 10% interest. He can now see, as he puts that $300 a month in every month, that it's growing and it never goes down like the stock market. So it's not going up and down. And it's based somewhat on not only your age, but also on your health. So if you think about somebody that is 18-year-old guy, pretty healthy, non-smoker, non-drinker, pretty healthy, he can buy a larger policy than somebody who's my age. So he can get more for his money. And I believe at one point we figured out that if he just kept putting that $300 in every month, that by the time he was 55, I think it is, he would have about $585,000, just not doing anything more than putting $300 a month away. When you get somebody my age, you can still do it. You still buy a policy. But again, it's like your health and your age and all of that factors in. But it's been nice because he did have a medical episode and we had insurance for him, but there was a deductible. And it's like, you know what? that's a little bit our emergency fund. I'm gonna take that deductible out of that money that you've put aside, and we'll take care of that bill for you. And I know that there's people that, again, you never want to ever think that anything would happen to your child. But what those IUL policies also do is if something medical happens, you can begin to take money out of the account. Or what happens usually is parents will make themselves a beneficiary. So if something were to happen to my son, I would be the beneficiary on that policy. As he gets older, then, once he gets married, I probably would say, well, I'm giving that to you, and, now it's your wife is your beneficiary on your policy. But it follows forever. You don't have to die to access it. You can borrow money out of it for whatever you need or whatever. So it's like day birth on, you can do it. And that's really what you want to teach. When you think about all the things that we buy for our kids that don't have any meaning in a day or two, the toys and everything, it's like, gosh, take just a little bit of that money and put it into one of these policies, because that's your child's future. They'll forget all about that that toy will be broken by the end of the week, or they'll have lost interest in it. But they'll have lost interest in that toy. You'll have gained interest doing some of these other things with the money.
Yeah, sell all the toys when they yeah, sell all the toys and then put it into the account, right?
Don't do that,
When,
Rowena. That's just mean.
well, I mean, when they're not, instead of right before they break,
Right before,
right
well, they
before
still
they
have
break,
value.
there's eBay and or something, Craigslist. Just put
There
it
you go.
in something, and so you have a return on your investment. And some toys are worth more after than they were when you first bought them.
There you go.
Yeah, it just
Beanie
depends.
Babies.
Beanie Baby.
Are they coming back?
No, but they still out there for sale, and they are like, some of them are like $150. The one thing I did
Wow.
when I was younger, yeah, I admit it, I used to, snag a little change off the side of mom and then aunt, and when I was young, I would buy comic books.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, those comic books are still wrapped up, still sealed up. They're not moving. They're packaged tight, and that was back in the 80s. Good Lord. I wonder if I cashed them. No, nope. Save them for another day. See, at least there's something to fall back on. That's what the ladies are teaching us. Have something to fall on. Something that in dire strait, when the last drop of blood is there. Something you can grab hold on. And something you can say, this has value. This has value. But as I said, that person that went out there, started a business, used business credit to go buy themselves a condo and a nice new Mercedes Benz 2022, with the little tiny thin headlights and all that. I hope you enjoy paying for it and all the necessity needs that that condo and that car is going to bring you. I hope you find happiness in things, because things become an obsession. And I mean, it shows, I hate to say it, it shows a lot of insecurity. Build your business if you're going to build that. Don't go out there and spend crazily. I mean, you have to start somewhere, but don't start trying to be, the man with the champagne glass filled with beer. Actually, it might be Ripple, but the bottom line is, do what's right. Help self, help community. Fight for this country at least. I mean, damn, this country needs you. These people need you. Everybody needs somebody sometime. Let's try that statement. We need these ladies to help us learn what to do and how to do it to protect ourselves from financial decay. Literally. What you can do is learn from them and take one, teach one. The old school method. The information passes on. It works. Believe me, it works. I mean, I could talk to my face is blue and my eyes are popping out, and I pray that someone is listening. Someone has an ounce of integrity and intelligence. I say integrity and intelligence because it takes integrity not to screw your fellow man over, and it takes intelligence to learn how to take that fellow man and walk him up that ladder with you. These ladies are doing that. So, first of all, I want everybody to go and find Rowena's page and find Miss Susan's page and information. Find them, chase them down, ask them questions, send them emails, bug the living hell out of them. Because
You can email don'tbecinderella@gmail.com if you want to get hold of me. So send me all your questions. Send me anything that's going on in your life. Tell me your Cinderella story. Tell me what's happened in your life. Don'tbecinderella@gmail.com.
And mine
Susan,
is
they-
languagepartners@gmail.com. And, Rowena and I are both very, very serious that absolutely, if you reach out to us, we will help you. If we don't have time to help you, we have people that will work with you. But we are deadly serious about trying to help people and really get people to where they feel comfortable, whether that's owning your own business, managing your own finances, making the right kinds of decisions. If you don't think you need it, you know somebody that does. I guarantee there's somebody that you know that needs the information. Please give them Rowena's information. Please give them my information. Again, we would love to help. It's not a bother. It's what we do.
See, I'm gonna try to do it one more again. Do you realize how many people died during the winter season here in America because they were homeless, hungry,
Right.
unable to get medical attention? And of course, we got money going overseas. But yeah, think about it. I'm gonna keep saying the money keeps going overseas. Billions and trillions of dollars that need to be right here at home. Gas prices going up. You got to choose between a gallon of milk and a pump your car full of gas. Choose one. You got 3 kids at home. Come on, choose. Which one you gonna do? I'm gonna get the milk. Personally, that's me. Damn that car. And damn that job. Because kids gotta be fed. But, other people take other, priorities. That's not my style. The bottom line is, these ladies are doing what they have to do. It's called destiny. Not fate, destiny. This is called what they must do because this is their calling. How about you just calling them? Send them an email. Get some information. Find them. Chase them down like I keep telling you. Chase them down. They're here to help. Believe me, they are really here to help. And no, I'm not going to do the Save the Children Fund look. Or I'm not going to do the ASPCA slow motion. No, we ain't doing that. That's BS, and y'all can sit back and listen. You can send money to them. You got to be the biggest idiots in the world, but that's another story. See, you got to remember, these corporations, they got higher ups, so the money you send in hits their pockets before it even gets trickle down theory. These ladies are teaching you how to avoid the trickle down, first of all, and also trying to teach you how to live. Living is a hard thing to do in this country. I see people in other countries, they come here and they living good. They traveling. They don't go along to get along. No, they don't. But they live. And they struggle. And they live. And these ladies help them to stop struggling. Oh, hold on. Cinderella story. And then they blossom like a flower. Like the lotus leaf. Just open wide. Yes, yes, yes. Sounds good. All right. The bottom line is they're telling the truth. They're telling the truth about how to do it and what to do. Now I'm just gonna be quiet again because I'm not gonna get hot. I'm not gonna lose my throat and my voice. You know, I'm tired of losing my voice because you people just do not understand. Some of you don't. Some of you don't. I think I got some listeners here because I'm looking at the chat that are just really understanding, and they're understanding a lot more now. And I'm proud of you people that are listening. I monitor everything. I have to. That's my job. I love this network. So what I do, I fight for it. I fight for the host. I fight for the guests that are come on. If the guests are on the right page. Yeah, I said it. If there's some guests I wouldn't do. But the host definitely. And Rowena, it's almost that time. You can do your talk or whatever. It's all you. See how I do it? It's all you.
So then the question is, where do we start? How do I start? What do I even have to do? And I think where do we start? Maybe by just sitting down and asking ourselves the hard questions. How much do we make? What are we paying for every month? It's called a financial needs analysis. And this is something that we have to actually ask ourselves, because a lot of people, they don't even know. They don't even know how much is going out of the house or how much is coming in. Um, Maybe we just need, if you would like, we would offer our services to sit down with you and talk about what your needs are and what your plans are, what your goals are. Uh, Susan, what is a financial needs analysis?
I had well, actually a former employee of mine is who kind of turned me on to all of this. And she basically sat down with me and just said, let's go through everything. How much do you make? How much do you owe? What kinds of things do you spend money on? So it's like, is it, obviously house payment, electric bill, gas bill? How much do you estimate that you spend on food in a month? What do you know that you need to save for that you don't save for because you don't think that you can? And basically then from there just began to look at ways to save money, to make a little bit more money, to move money that I had to different kinds of financial things. And I started working with her about 3 years ago now, a little over 3 years ago. My money, not adding anything to my money, just my money that I had when I met her, has grown. I think the last I calculated about 17% from where it was. The banks are what, 1% of 1% of 1%. So it's grown about 17%, which is huge, even in this market, because again, it's not going up and down. And I think, we've shared our contact information with you. Understand there's no cost. So we don't ask for any money to help you with this. Nobody's being paid for doing this. So if you think, gosh, I don't even make enough money to worry about it, you're absolutely the person that we need to talk to. So if you're the person that goes, I make $500 a month and I spend 800, we need to talk to you because there's ways to get out from underneath that. And they're even legal. But again, Rowena, it's like there's no charge for doing it. There's no charge if you decide that, hey, I'd like to know more about, doing financial education with people. I'd like to know what opportunities there are to be a business owner. So there's just a million different ways, but that financial plan is just a start of like, where do I spend my money? Where do I make money? How can I change my financial picture and make it look better? And if I don't need it, is there somebody else that needs it? Because I can tell you there is more than you realize.
Well, Susan, I want to thank you so very much for your time and your effort and your passion. And that's another thing too, is that I'm just really passionate about this. And I've said it over and over again. Why does there have to be hunger or poverty or homelessness? If we can do, they can get out of their situation in a way that would be beneficial to them, to their children, to their future generations, to our future generations. Why don't we start there? Because at the end of the day, we can't take everything with us. We can't take anything with us. What we have is the future. And what are we going to leave to the future? What will be our legacy? Are we going to steal from our own future? Or are we going to donate to it? Are we going to give toward it? And we're stuck in a situation where we feel helpless and hopeless. And I'm telling you that there's always hope, and there's always somebody out there who can help you. And if you're not Cinderella, who are you? Are you the fairy godmother? Are you in that position to be able to help somebody? Are you the charming prince? Are you in that position to be able to help somebody? So, who are you in the story? And how are you going to affect those around you? Are you going to have a positive impact on those around you? Are you going to draw from them? Are you going to suck them? Are you going to be a burden to them? And that's one of the things why I wanted to change my own life. I didn't want to be a burden to my children when I get to be retired. And I wanted to make sure that I left them something of me, something behind, and I contributed towards their future instead of taking from it.
Well, thank you for allowing me to be on with you. I really appreciate both of you making me part of this. I do feel strongly about it. I do hope that if you're thinking about getting in touch with either one of us, please, please, please do, so that we know that our time today was not wasted reaching out to you to try to help.
And thank you, Odin, for your passion. I always appreciate your thoughts on these things, and and what you see in your experience. So it's always been a blessing to me to that we met, that you gave me this opportunity to be able to talk to people about these things that matter so much to all of us.
I just love. That's all I can do. Love. Yeah. Sometimes there's another side to me, but this side is love, because it comes to the point where you got to look at your fellow man, woman, little kids running around and say, some point you got to stand up. You got to grow. And maybe it's education. Maybe it's financial awareness. Maybe it's that don't be a Cinderella ideology that needs to be implanted in your head to give you the inspiration. Sometimes, you remember, I got to say this. I remember back in the day, I used to get that and get that feeling when I listened to my favorite song, and it builds you up and it powers you up and you feel like you can do it. And then you go out there and you listen to that song in your head and you can perform. Well, they don't have that anymore. They got this little bit of insanity called video games. So maybe we can go back to those days where you people listened and learned. That's all I have to say. And I
Well,
thank
thank
you.
you both. Thank you both for being on the show. And remember, don't be Cinderella. Create your own future and live happily ever after.